Yep, Donald Trump is ruining America. It's just another day that ends in Y. The stake starts now. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to The Stakes. I'm Tara Setmayer. This is Michelle Kinney. We are the co-founders of the Seneca Project, and we're happy to be with you to talk about what's been going on in the world, because it's never a dull moment in the Donald Trump 2.0 hellish nightmare that is the presidency. So, horrible day again today. We had another mass shooting on a college campus, which is just, unfortunately, this time of year, it's coming up on the anniversary of Columbine in Oklahoma City, and mass shooters, for some strange, sick reason, do things around this time. We don't know enough about this shooter yet, whether that had anything to do with anything. Unfortunately, 2 people are dead. The shooter is not. 21-year-old student, Florida State, uses mom's former service weapon. She was a deputy sheriff. I mean, Michelle, it's just, our heart breaks for these victims, their families, the community, the Florida State students and faculty that will be traumatized for life by this. It's just way too common. It's just too common. And earlier today, I was on with Jim Acosta mentioning this and saying how there's like a 6 degrees of separation now at this point, where virtually everyone has some proximity to someone who has experienced a mass shooting, including you.
Mm-hmm. This stuff really upsets me. I'll start with saying, Columbine happened my junior year of high school. There was a friend of mine who I grew up with who was an Army brat, who went to elementary school with one of the shooters at Columbine. Also, there is the wife of one of my very good college friends, survived Columbine, along with another girl that I grew up with, who was in my 2nd grade class.
Wow.
That was in 1998. I am now 42 years old, almost 43. My husband had a friend in DC who was shot 5 times at Virginia Tech. He survived. His close family friend also was at Virginia Tech at the time. She survived. Luckily, was not shot. A good college friend of mine, his mother was a teacher at Sandy Hook. She had just retired and actually was going to go in that day to bring cookies and stuff to her former colleagues.
Wow.
And decided not to because she didn't feel well. She would have been standing right there. I've since gone back with my friend to help some of the kids and the theater kids at Sandy Hook. And then today, one of my best friends for 25 years, she runs the theater program at Florida State University. Tara and I were on Mary Trump's Substack today, and I saw a couple comments. It was like something like shooting at FSU, and I'm like, what? And we got off, and my mom had texted me, is Lauren okay? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And I look at the news, and I'm like, oh my God. Lauren and I have been close friends, besties. She was in my wedding. I was in hers. We went to theater school together, and, anybody who knows theater schools, conservatories, it's like you're in the trenches with people for 4 years, all day, every day. We were together on September 11th. I stayed in her apartment for 2 weeks after September 11th because we were all so traumatized. I started texting Lauren, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? And luckily she was. She had barricaded herself in her classroom with pianos and with pieces of scenery from the theater. A friend of ours, Tara, and my friend Julie Roginski was at MSNBC at the time, and she said, would your friend be willing to talk? They're looking for witnesses. And I texted Lauren and I was like, would you be willing to talk to someone? And she's like, not yet. She's like, it is dead silent in here. She's like,
Mm.
we are still sheltering in place. And this was after, a while.
Yeah.
She said there are many tears in the room, but
Sure.
we are okay. And we're waiting for law enforcement to come by and say the secret. There's like a password that they'll know that it's law enforcement and not the shooter.
Mm.
And they were waiting. And then I didn't hear from her for a while, which is like totally understandable. She has a husband and 2 children, and
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be the first person she texts. But last I heard, she was like, "I'm home," and I was like, "Thank God." And I said, "Life is entirely too fragile, and I am so tired of being reminded of that.
Yeah.
So tired of living in a country where this is in the back of our minds all the time."
It's crazy. I mean, I'm a Gen Xer, and so we've said this before, because for as long as we've been doing this,
Mhm.
we've had multiple mass shootings that have happened on days where we've had shows. And
Mhm.
it's like, that used to be unheard of. And now it's
Yeah.
all too popular, and more so than people even want to realize. I mean, not everyone. There was just a mass shooting down in Fredericksburg, Virginia, which is not far from me. 7 people were shot, 4 people killed. That didn't make the national news.
Well,
But this
that's the
happened.
thing. That's the
That's
thing.
what I
It's like
mean.
it's a crapshoot. Like,
Yeah.
depending on how many people are
Right.
shot, where it is, if
Right.
it's one of those things that's just, they happen every day in this country.
I know.
And I mean, actually, Lauren, who's my friend who I'm talking about, she was on tour with Wicked for 10 years. And I remember she was in Phoenix the day that Gabby Giffords was shot. And I remember texting her, "Are you okay?" Or was it not Phoenix, Tucson? I forget where I was. She was there.
Yeah.
So that's where she was. And I remember not knowing anything had happened yet. I'm like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Yeah, it's like down the road from where we're staying though." She's like, "I don't know what the hell's going on." And it's just like, I'm tired of having these conversations. I am tired of worrying about the people around me. I'm tired of worrying about myself. When I was in Montreal, like a year and a half ago with Joe, we were walking around and I was just like, you know what? It's amazing how much I don't think about being shot here.
I know. I know. I know. I know.
I am just tired of it.
Yeah.
We
It's
don't have to live like this, and yet we do.
I know.
And I think that's one of the pieces of this that is the most, I think about myself having, lived this arc of gun violence in this country as an elder millennial, but then I think about the Gen Z kids who are born into this trauma in kindergarten, having to do active shooter drills in kindergarten.
I know. It's hard to fathom. Like, I can't imagine that. I was eating graham
My
crackers and like apple juice in
Right.
kindergarten.
Not
I'm not
thinking about
thinking about
this.
this.
Yeah, my
No.
friends tell me they drop their kids off at school and there's always a voice in the back of their mind that says, "I hope I see my kid later today. I hope I get to pick my kid up today."
Sad. Sad. It's
I
sad.
I just I'm
It's just one of the many ills that our society in America is suffering from.
Yep.
And it's just one of the it's a symptom of a much bigger problem in this
Mhm.
country on a lot of
It
levels.
is. It is.
Whether it's mental health, whether it's guns, whether it's the,
And
you
weapons
know
of war. I mean, that's the other thing. And you and
right.
I have talked about this. It's
Mhm.
the weapons, like the grade of weaponry that is available to regular people in this country with bullets and that are designed to rip through bodies.
Yes.
Like the New York
Yes.
Times did an incredible study on this, and it was from a year or two ago. Go look it up. But they do a virtual, they show you what it does.
Mhm.
And
Was probably
like,
after Uvalde, right?
yeah,
Because they
I
were
think
talking
so.
about
I
what
think so.
MRs do. I mean, AR-15s do
Yeah.
to bodies, and then what it does to children, because of how
Yeah.
horrific that was.
Yeah.
And people need to know, and I've said this many times that, we're gun owners and have guns in our house, and we're
Sure.
members of a gun club, but a gun range, and it's like, but that's not what this is. You don't need to
No.
have weapons of war with
No.
average people. It's not necessary, unless you're going hunting, and
And
like,
even then, do you need that to shoot a
no,
deer? I mean, God, you're
right,
just
'cause
gonna pulverize the damn
right,
thing.
and they'll tell you that the way that actually is more inhumane for how what happens to them when you shoot them with those kinds of weapons. So, you know, there's so many layers to the complexity of this problem, and it's also a societal problem in that the way that most of these shooters are young men, and the way in which they are processing whatever it is, their anger, their depression, their grief, their rejection, whatever,
Racism.
you know, whatever it is, you know, all of the ills of society that are plaguing them, they are not processing them well-adjusted adults. And why? There's a much bigger problem here. And if we don't start addressing it soon, it's just going to get worse. And more people are going to lose their lives.
I listen, I hate to be, the Debbie Downer, real Debbie Downer here, but it's like, after you shoot up a classroom full of first graders and nobody does a goddamn thing.
I know.
My hope that anything is going to change went out the window.
Well, it's not going to change in the next 4 years because
that's for sure.
They're already rolling back regulations, gun safety regulations that the Biden administration put in. So it's
those pesky laws, like how
I know. Like that's the priority. So okay, they're rolling back EPA regulations. They're rolling back, so no clearing air and water. That's bad. We don't want that.
How woke of you to want clean
woke
air.
is that, right? Oh, of course, in the healthcare space, we already know what's happening. RFK Jr. made headlines this week with these terribly ridiculous, ignorant comments about autism. Do you have that clip?
I do.
Yeah,
I do. I'd like to play.
We should play it because this is another day in the Trump administration.
Sir. This is an individual tragedy as well. Autism destroys families. More importantly, it destroys our greatest resource, which are our children. These are children who should not be suffering like this. These are kids who, many of them were fully functional and regressed because of some environmental exposure into autism when they're 2 years old. And these are kids who will never pay taxes. They'll never hold a job. They'll never play baseball. They'll never write a poem. They'll never go out on a date. Many of them will never use a toilet unassisted. And we have to recognize we are doing this to our children.
Okay.
First of all, I can't take that fucking voice, but go ahead.
I don't even know where to begin. First of all, I just want to say that StreamYard keeps telling me that my connection is unstable, so I apologize if I look weird or anything. So I'll just say that first.
But you don't, though. Just letting you know.
Yeah, well, just forewarning anybody. But before, I texted one of my very good friends today who has a son with autism, and I'm like, I'm so sorry your family was destroyed. Your lives were destroyed by your beautiful son who's amazing and functional. Like,
right.
Tell me you know nothing about autism without telling me you know nothing about autism and how that it is a neurological issue. It is not a disease. It's not something you catch. It's not something that can be prevented.
Environmental exposure to it. Like, that is not a thing. Okay. You ignorant ass.
And it's certainly not caused by vaccinations, which by the way, we're about to have an epidemic of measles in this country because we are flying blind, because we have pulled ourselves out of the World Health Organization, because our CDC and FDA and all of our public health agencies have been gutted. We are flying blind.
And and they're going to take all the vaccine access away. And you're not going to have a flu shot,
we might not even get a flu shot next year.
Yeah, that's great.
So that's fun.
Which kills more people every year than like anything else, right? Like a lot of people die from the flu.
Right. Elderly, immune compromised, children, pregnant women, it's just like the list goes on. But this asshole, this idiot with a silver spoon jammed up his ass.
And a brainworm in his
brainworm has spent his entire life of privilege parachuting into places, telling people in impoverished areas of this world, rather, that he knows more than they do, even though he knows nothing.
Knows nothing about anything.
Nothing about anything, and has profited off of anti-vax organizations. He has taken their money.
It's just so, I don't know.
I mean, Elon Musk Elon Musk is autistic.
Right.
I mean, like, I don't know where to begin here. Amy Schumer, by the way, if anyone's seen her documentary about her husband and her husband's diagnosis of autism as an adult, is a beautiful story. It's a touching story about, just some communication issues that they'd had in their relationship that when they figured out what was going on, she was like, oh my God, everything makes so much more sense to me, because all it means is they're neurodivergent.
Right.
That is all that means. It means that they might, operate or communicate in a different way than you and I would. And it is horrifying. And also to say that children are a resource. What kind of bullshit is that? Children are a resource. No, children are children. They're human beings.
Right. That's right.
They're never going to use a toilet. They're never going to use a toilet. What?
What? I know. I can't with this
That's just it's not true. It's just made up shit.
And here it is, though, being government sanctioned.
Fear-mongering
bullshit. Yeah. To stop people from properly taking vaccines so they can go take like wellness pills or some shit from some company that they have stock in or whatever. I mean, it goes back to the same nonsense of how many people died needlessly from COVID because they were pushing ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine and all that shit. Like,
and there is a rabbit hole that people go down from wellness stuff, which, by the way, is there's no partisan.
Right.
There's the crunchy liberals from California and New York who refuse. Oh, I read this thing about autism and vaccines and blah, blah, blah. Okay. But it's on the right too. And it can be a wormhole, no pun intended, to I've watched it happen in my own family. I've watched someone go from, in the middle of the pandemic, I'm scared of COVID to, masks are fake. Masks are a government conspiracy. I'm not taking that shot. It has 5G in it or whatever.
Right. Oh, my own family. My aunt is like kind of like about that kind of stuff. And we're like my mom right now is like struggling because she's like, what do I do? This is my sister. And like, we're older in life, but she's off the reservation on all these things. And then has the nerve to be mad at us when we tell her. Like, we're like, we're trying to help you. No, we're the assholes.
They don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it.
They don't want to hear it.
MLM.
You're full of hate.
Right.
And you're negative. Right. Okay.
You're negative.
All right.
Okay.
Facts or hate.
You're toxic. Okay. You're a toxic person. Okay.
You just can't.
Yeah. I saw the MLM cult because it's the multi-level marketing stuff. Again, a person in my family was into the Beachbody crap, which then led them down to reading books and listening to podcasts, wellness podcasts with people who have like English degrees telling you what you should be doing with your body. I mean, it is insane.
Herbalife was one of those big multi-level marketing, right?
They're all bullshit. It's same with the LuLaRoe leggings and all that horse shit.
Yeah. And then we've got Dr. Oz, who's now running our, Medicare and Medicaid, CMS, right?
Right.
And he was part of all that bullshit too. Whole scheme. He shouldn't be anywhere near anything.
No, he shouldn't have a medical license. I mean,
no, he shouldn't. And he was like a legit medical doctor, which I didn't know. I listened to this whole thing about him. Yeah, like a well-renowned one too. And it was just the whole thing. Anyway, well, this is just another aspect of what's going on now that is underreported because of so much other stuff that's happening. Like this week, Donald Trump meeting with the El Salvadorian dictator. I saw you guys on Wednesday because I didn't make over it on Wednesday because I was in New York City and Michelle and I were in DC together earlier this week on Monday, which feels like a month ago, by the way.
That was this week?
I forgot about that till just now because it felt like a month ago. Just this Monday. Michelle was in DC with me because we had some meetings with one of our coalition partners about some things that are in the works, which you're going to get to in a second. But then on Tuesday, I turned around and drove up to New York because I was part of the Jim Acosta town hall in New York. And Michelle was supposed to come, but her kitty got sick. And so we were upset about that. Ollie's on the mend, it seems now.
Hopefully.
Rafi sending good kitty vibes to Ollie.
Thank you.
But all this was going on. And I was like, what now? And then we saw you guys on Over It. I didn't make the show Wednesday, making fun of the El Salvadorian president, saying that he looks like he should own a nightclub.
He looks like a Staten Island nightclub owner. That's what he looks like.
He reminds me of what was
It's
the
like
movie?
a wild and crazy guy.
Yeah, no, the movie with Will Ferrell and
Night at the Roxbury.
yeah, like those guys.
Starring
Chris Kattan, right?
Yeah, Chris Kattan and Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
And,
what is love?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's what he reminded me of. Okay. Like, and I'm like, this guy, and he's like very, very proud of himself. And he's a freaking wannabe dictator down there. And meanwhile, Donald Trump and him are yucking it up and completely disregarding our Constitution. Like the stuff they were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that. You can't just send Americans to pay a foreign country to send Americans there to imprison them. It's against a bunch of amendments. Maybe somebody needs to send, maybe that stupid guy that walks out with the executive orders and reads them, like so you say, like story time to Trump. They need to do that, like story time with the Constitution, you motherfucker, and learn what you can and cannot do. And if Republicans don't start standing up about this, I swear to God, people should be swarming their offices and their town halls. Oh, wait, they don't have town halls. Hold them anyway, demanding that these people adhere to the Constitution. I don't care if the guy's last name is Garcia or Gonzalez or whatever, and not Smith or Williams.
Right.
These people have constitutional rights just like you and me. Mm-hmm. And this guy, Kilmer Garcia, that is down there unlawfully imprisoned in this gulag in El Salvador, deserves to be back home in Maryland with his autistic son and his family, because this administration admitted in court that he was sent there wrongfully. Wrongfully. Okay. They didn't use that term. I said it was an administrative error. Guess what? That means wrongfully. And
Pam Bondi, did you see what she tweeted last night? She tweeted a link from the Justice Department that said, oh, we're releasing new information about him. And then you click on it and you scroll down 3 pages and it says no criminal record, like in plain language.
Yes.
I'm like,
yes.
What?
They're out here trying to smear this guy to try to justify the fact that they fucked up. He's in a gulag, and now they're trying to gaslight everyone and lie to them and besmirch this guy's reputation to say that he was a gang member when he wasn't. These jackasses on Fox News, that jackass Jesse Waters, actually tried to say that wearing a Bulls cap means that you're in MS-13. Oh, if you wear a Bulls cap, we know what that means.
These
what?
Racist bastards.
Exactly. This isn't the Crips and the Bloods, okay? That's a different situation. That's not this.
Not the
and
90s.
It's not. Like, dude, what are you doing? And I saw on MSNBC, there was a segment with Lisa Rubin, who's their legal analyst, because people are finally saying, like, okay, is there any chance that this guy might have been, a criminal or no? Okay. She said that the person that arrested him, because he was arrested by ICE or something before. And so they were using that as the justification. And they're like, where's the evidence that this guy's actually in a gang? Where's the evidence? Because we've really never seen it. It's been how many? It's been a month. We've never seen the evidence. They try to say, well, it was determined in a immigration court that, when these ICE agents say that to an immigration judge, this is what we found or whatever, unfortunately, it's taken as gospel. They don't usually have to present much evidence. Well, the guy that arrested this one has been fired for lying and making up evidence that was involved in Garcia's case. So this whole thing about this allegation that he was part of MS-13, the gang, is unproven. Bullshit.
Made up.
In a court of law, if he were in prison, he'd be let out immediately.
Yes.
For something like that.
Right. But then Bukele, right, is his name.
Yeah.
He and Trump are going, well, I can't get him out because it's in another country. And then the El Salvador, Bukele is like, oh, well, why would I let a terrorist back in? And it's just like, then they start joking about it and laughing about it. And I didn't clip this. I should have. They're caught on a hot mic.
Oh, the homegrown.
In the Oval Office before most of the cameras show up. Bukele and Trump are talking to each other and he's saying, listen, I'm going to need you to make 5 more of these prisons for me so that we can start sending the homegrown criminals there. Because the next thing is going to be American citizens being sent to concentration camps in other countries, which, when's the last time that happened? Let me see. Late 1930s Germany, when they were opening up and building camps in an industrialized deportation effort that turned into an industrialized extermination effort
That
in other
is
countries.
correct. That is correct. And who's going to profit from that? Eric Prince.
Yep.
Because we already know, the reports are already out that this is how this whole, because I'm like, where the hell, when did we all of a sudden become buddies now with El Salvador?
Right.
I was like, where did this come from? Yeah, because this guy, Bukele, has been befriended Don Jr., and he's all into the Peter Thiel Bitcoin tech crypto universe. And he
calls himself the cool dictator.
Right. He's a cool dictator, which there's no such thing, by the way. No such fucking thing. What was Hitler? The hip Hitler? I don't understand. There's no such thing. Okay. So this guy is part of this whole crypto technocrat bullshit where they wanted to have their first Bitcoin capital, where the entire city was run by crypto. That has now since fallen apart, but that was his goal. The whole network states thing that we've talked about on the show before. El Salvador was one of the little proving grounds for this. And so there is a much bigger thing at play here.
Yep.
With this guy from El Salvador, and with them testing out, bringing people there and just getting rid of, because once you're on foreign soil, the Constitution doesn't apply anymore. And they know this, and they know that once they're there, they can throw up their hands, because once you're gone,
oh, well, you know,
right.
Nothing I can do about that. Did you see, by the way, the 19-year-old that they picked up in the Bronx?
No.
There's a 19-year-old they pick up in the Bronx. They picked up the wrong person. They knew that they'd picked up the wrong person. This wasn't even the person they were looking for. They literally they're like the wrong guy. And then they cuffed him anyways and took him. And now he's gone. Now he's been disappeared.
Yeah. This is a problem. This is a big problem, because they're going to start doing this again with like people who, the only reason why we know about what's happening with Garcia and others is because they actually had legal representation. But they also found out, because they're trying to get a list and the records of who the 268 or 238 that they sent over there, that first big spectacle that they did, like who are these people? And come to find out, most of them did not have criminal records, or it was like petty things, like, you know, like
a speeding ticket. There was some like Japanese, I think Japanese scientist or something, who got a letter to deport himself, or said he had to be out of the country in 10 days. And he's like, well, what did I do? And they were like, oh, you had a couple speeding tickets or something.
Yeah.
There was another American-born doctor who got a letter saying that she needed to deport herself.
Yeah.
And she's like, to where?
Yeah, to where?
I'm from here. I was born here.
Yeah. No, this is out of control.
Which leads me to Supreme Court said today that they were going to hear the case, Trump's case about birthright citizenship.
Birthright citizenship. Yeah. 14th Amendment. That's a big one. That's good.
I don't know. I don't know.
Look, if they mess with the 14th Amendment, that
nothing matters anymore.
Yeah, that takes away protections for lots of folks.
I mean, wouldn't that be like, all of Trump's children? Except for one of them. Do you know what I mean? It's just like,
I guess that means that like people who are we going to rescind like the other amendments too? Like, are Black folks not going to have equal rights and things, and due process is just, it's selective now. I mean, this is a very dangerous, slippery slope here. We're messing with constitutional amendments, and it's not a joke anymore. And,
oh gosh, no.
Yeah.
And for anybody listening on the podcast later, I'm just going to read a little bit from the New York Times here. It says the Supreme Court announced on Thursday that it would hear arguments in a few weeks over President Trump's executive order ending birthright citizenship. The brief ordered by the justices was unsigned, gave no reasoning, as is typical in an emergency case. But the unusual move is a sign that the justices consider the matter significant enough that they would immediately hold oral argument on the government's request to lift a nationwide pause on the policy. The justices announced that they would defer any consideration of the temporary block on the policy until they heard the oral arguments, which is set for May 15th, my mom's birthday. That's fun. That means the executive order, which would end birthright citizenship for the children of undocumented immigrants and foreign residents, will remain paused, which I guess is good, in every state while the court considers the case. On President Trump's first day in office, which was January 20th, he issued the executive order ending the birthright citizenship, the guarantee that a person born in the United States is automatically a citizen for certain children. and told the reporters on Thursdays after hearing the court's decision to hold the argument that he was, quote, so happy.
I bet. I bet. Does that mean his own wife is like potentially on the like deportation list or what? I mean, I don't know.
Wasn't she here on some like Einstein visa? Because
yeah, I know.
Of course
yeah, she was on like I forget the visa. There's so many of them, and I used to know them because I worked on immigration issues when I used to remember. I forgot now. My brain is fried. It's been a week, but yeah, I mean, again, these are very serious issues, and they keep trying to use like bad folks to be like, well, who cares? We don't want Venezuelan gang members here, do we? These violent criminal bastards, but get them out of here. Okay, yes, get them out of here through the due process. We have a legal system. We have a legal system that handles these things. You don't just get to say you and you are getting on a bus and on a flight and you're out of here because we don't like you. That is not how this works. No. And which leads me to, they're trying to fearmonger and scare people that are speaking out against them into the threat of you're next for just being disappeared. I mean, that's how it starts. We've seen this in history. It's a playbook. And Senator Murkowski came out today and talked about this.
I have the clip. Let's watch it.
People who are afraid, or who represent people who are afraid. We are all afraid. Okay. So I've stated. But we are, we're in a time and a place where I don't know. I certainly have not. I have not been here before. And I'll tell you, I'm oftentimes very anxious myself about using my voice because retaliation is real, and that's not right. But that's what you've asked me to do. And so I'm going to use my voice to the best of my ability. And sometimes it will be viewed in a way that, well, that's pretty confrontational. And other times it's going to be using my mother's charm that I learned as a young girl and in direct communication with those that I have made relationships with and am able to affect some change that way. But I've got to figure out how I can do my best to help the many who are so anxious and are so afraid.
Okay. Listen, Lisa Murkowski has been one of the more moderate voices in the Senate as a Republican. She's usually the one that we can count on that side, or used to be, until she has voted, unfortunately, to confirm some nominees, which I was very against, when she could have stood up for all the rest of us.
But she did vote to remove, didn't she? She did vote to remove Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was one of them. She did do the right thing there.
Right, that's what I mean. She does. Yeah. And so for that, I will give her a little bit. However.
Yeah. But
at this point,
I know.
Leave the party.
That's right.
Leave it. The party. Caucus with the Democrats.
She did this already once when she was primaried in Alaska and ran as a write-in candidate, like as she had to do that. And she still won. Like, I went to Alaska in 2004 and helped her campaign in the final weeks when she was down 4 points, which is a lot at that time when there's not that many people. And they sent a bunch of operatives up there. This is in 2004 to try to turn that shit around. And guess what? We did. And she ended up winning by 4 points. So like, she comes from the Murkowskis, like her dad, not her husband. Her dad was the governor and all that. Like the Murkowskis are known there in Florida. What is it? It tells my brain. In Alaska. Jesus.
Alaska.
I don't know what's happening. And so,
she can
like,
see
so
Russia from my house.
I know, you can see Russia from my house. The funny thing about that is, that Palin never actually said that.
Oh, I know.
Right?
It's just,
I know
that's
you
the
don't, but
SNL thing.
right. But so many people think she actually said that because Tina Fey was like an uncanny doppelganger and nailed her so much that everybody thinks that Palin actually said that because she was dumb enough to actually say that. It was plausible. But anyway, so yeah, Murkowski, she's been around a long time and comes from political royalty up there. And it's like, she's still, did you see, like, she meant it when she said that people are afraid.
Yep.
And I'll tell you why. I think I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago that I was at an event and a lobbyist friend of mine pulled me aside and said, actually, she and I need to have lunch because I said I would do it after I got back from Morocco. She said to me, listen, there are senators up there that are legitimately fearful for their lives and their families' lives and their reputations, because what Elon Musk and Doge has done is that they've infiltrated all of this personal information with people and on people, including members, and they are basically blackmailing them into doing what they want. If you don't do this, if you don't vote for so-and-so, like when all of those nomination hearings were going on, the confirmation.
Cassidy and RFK Jr. I'm like,
right,
you're
we're looking
doctor.
At, yeah, what are you doing? Even Murkowski with them, with Hegseth and all this. Like, what are you doing? I can't remember if she did it. Joni Ernst, right?
They were running ads up in where Iowa.
But it was bigger than just being primary, is what my friend was telling me.
Right.
And I'm like, holy shit.
Well,
which leads us to the whistleblower announcement this week, which was pretty extraordinary. Some friends of ours are involved in this case. And once I saw that, I was like, well, they're in good hands.
Yes.
But this is very alarming. And this is something that we thought was probably happening anyway, just the way that Doge was coming in. Kara Swisher has been screaming about this from day one, about once you let Elon and his Doge douchebags into what's going on, these goons, how do you reverse this? I mean, the data's gone. They're going to plant all kinds of God knows what into these systems in our government. And sure as shit, we have now found out this brave whistleblower came forward from the National Labor Relations Board talking about what Doge has done in their systems. And do we have a clip from that? Or
I'm trying to load it right now.
Okay, no problem. So I'll give more background on it.
Yeah.
So basically, this whistleblower worked in the IT department at the National Labor Relations Board, and Doge came barging in there and started infiltrating their computer systems. And they dismantled the systems that record what's going on. A lot of these government systems have like programs where you can track who's doing what for accountability and transparency purposes to make sure nobody's doing shit they're not supposed to. Well, the Doge guys came in, they dismantled all of that. They created their own usernames and passwords and basically dismantled all the security protocols. And after they did this, and with no record of what they're doing and where they're going and what they're looking at, and within 15 minutes of them doing this, Russian hackers tried to get into the system using the same usernames and passwords that the Doge guys set up. Now, the one thing that they didn't dismantle, maybe they didn't know about it or didn't know how, but they had one last security protocol that protected them from foreign infiltration, that there was an alert for that. So this guy working in IT got alerted and was like, what the hell is going on? And saw that these over 20 attempts from Russia using the same usernames and passwords that were set up by the Doge guys were trying to get into the system.
Yep. And
why
so
does this matter?
I have this clip here if you want me to play it, or do you want to finish?
Is it the clip where they talk about?
I've spliced together a few things from the Rachel Maddow interview.
Yes.
It's a couple, we can start and stop. Just let me know. But it's important that everybody knows about this.
Yes, this
about
is a really,
whistleblower
really important
who's just
detail.
come forward named Daniel Baroulis. Quote, Mr. Baroulis is coming forward today because of his concern that recent activity by members of DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, have resulted in a significant cybersecurity breach that likely has and continues to expose our government to foreign intelligence and our nation's adversaries.
The truth is, it was almost immediate after they got notice of this. There's not going to be corroborating evidence like I presented that they're going to be able to present to back up these. And so I think if we can get the right people in here for transparency, I would absolutely love it if I was wrong about this. It's just we need other people we need real forensic analysis, and that's what we were trying to do with the cert.
And that goes back to what we requested, which is an independent investigation, because again, Dan provided not only what he saw, but the forensic details to back up his concerns. And so part and parcel of an investigation is to, of course, speak to others, and there will be other individuals who will be able to corroborate what Dan saw.
Sure, absolutely. So what we're looking at there in the picture is the outgoing data out of our external,
here's
from our
the
internal
data.
network. There's also a correlating spike in the outgoing data from the database that houses our internal case data. So things like proprietary company secrets, union organizer names, private affidavits of unfair labor practice complainants. These are things that traditionally would be kept in a judicial system behind lock and key. And not anything to do with efficiency, for sure. And the people that I work with are very meticulous. They're borderline OCD, and these aren't mistakes that I've ever seen them make before. So for all these controls to be off, in this small amount of time, it doesn't speak to it being accidental.
No, and one of the things I also want to point out to you, because you did an outstanding job, Rachel, in going over exactly how foreign intelligence likely was able to try and access NLRB databases. This is more than just the NLRB. Dan is here because he's been brave enough to come forward with what he saw, what he witnessed, what he can actually establish through forensic data. We have heard from others there are many people like Dan, but who are afraid to come forward. And we've also heard that in addition to how the systems were being treated by DOJ within NLRB, what we've also seen is that these systems were also connected to Starlink. Now, why is Starlink critical?
This is the scary
Starlink
part.
is critical because the information that flows through Starlink goes directly to Russia. What has happened was back in last year, the Department of Defense has stopped using Starlink in any way, shape, or form because that is viewed as a direct pipeline there. And this is something that is also being seen in other agencies, not just NLRB. The other thing that's really concerning is that, and I don't want to say that this was done intentionally, it could be done unintentionally by accident by those who are working within DOJ, which is they have allowed certain specific critical infrastructure and other agencies, such as within the Department of Energy, where you have nuclear regulatory agencies overseeing our nuclear stockpile, et cetera, where that has been now opened to the open internet. So critical infrastructure throughout the country has unfortunately been provided access to the open internet, which means our foreign adversaries like Russia can and may have access to all of that.
You received a threat
Unbelievable.
at your home where you
Terrifying.
live?
This part.
Where I hadn't lived for too long either. I've only been there 2 months. The only place that I've actually updated that address is in the OPM database for my payroll with the government. That's really, I haven't even updated my bank card yet. So
Can you tell us about the character of the threat?
I think it was vague enough to not be. Can I just?
Yeah, I can jump in there for Dan, because this is actually quite difficult for him to talk about because it is quite personal. So this is a letter who somebody had drafted. And within the letter, there was specific information about Dan that can only be obtained through, for example, internal databases within the government. Because it's not anything, and we've had individuals conduct an investigation. We've had our own investigative team conduct an investigation to see whether or not any of this is really easily accessible online, and it's not. And so there is information that very few individuals would know. It could be something that was submitted to the government on an SF-86, a security clearance background investigation, et cetera. Mm-hmm. And the fact that he's only been at this residence for 2 months or less. We have that. We have the fact that somebody literally figured out where he lives, taped this note to his door, and flew a drone above him while he was walking his dog.
That's insane.
I've only seen this once or twice in the years where I've represented whistleblowers or conducted investigations like this. When I saw this made me pause and get concerned about Dan and what's going on. And this is pure and simple witness and whistleblower intimidation, because this came forward before we even filed anything with the government, which means that somebody was monitoring his use of systems within the government, which for me is, is an indicator as to where this is coming from.
This is like something straight out of a spy novel, okay? Yep. He speaks up. It's like a cross between like the Pelican Brief and like No Way Out.
And, or like The Firm.
The Firm, right. Like this is real life
But it's
And-
the United States government.
But it's
doing
here.
this.
And well, those movies were here too. But yeah.
Well, no, I know, but like it's fiction. But I'm
Yes.
saying it's like this is
sanctioned by somebody in the government.
Right. They flew a drone over the guy walking his dog.
That's the
took
part that freaked me out the
pictures,
most.
put it in an envelope along with other personal information that they had gathered about him with threats, put an envelope and taped it to his front door where he had only lived for 2 months and nobody knew that he lived there except for
OPM.
inside the government database that were for his payroll. And
that Elon Musk and his jerk-offs have all access to it everywhere.
And
no
this is
information is safe.
Exactly. And this is where the Doge overall plan, agenda, all of this leads to. If we start to connect the dots here, this is bigger than the NLRB. This is every single government agency that Elon Musk has gone through with his Doge people and everybody else that's working with him. They are gathering data, not only to siphon off or put a pipeline to the Russian government. God knows what they have access to, our nuclear codes. Who knows?
Who knows? Because they're all up in the Department of Energy too, and the Department of Energy manages our nukes. A lot of people don't know that. It's not DOD.
Right. And it goes to show even more that they are going to weaponize the data that all of our data. Our data being our tax returns, IRS information, anything about unemployment, like anything about us that the federal government has, they can use, they can weaponize, they can turn off your financial existence in the United States if you speak out, if you are a whistleblower, if you're going to do anything that they don't like, they can shut off your access to all of your life and your savings and everything. And this is what they're doing to immigrants right now. They're
starting there.
Yes.
It's starting there. That's the petri dish. And they want to see, well, what's the outrage? Who's going to speak up? Are people going to accept this or what? And then they're going to move on to the American citizen dissenters, the homegrowns. Okay. And that's why what this gentleman is doing is so incredibly brave.
Oh my God.
I mean, this is patriotic, okay? And I think probably what made him decide to go public, I don't know this, I'm just speculating, is that once that whole thing with the note on the door, you need to make yourself public so that people know, and so if something happens to you,
it protects you.
Yes, it actually does. And that's just crazy that's where he had to take it. And that's what makes like what's happening with this Garcia case. That's why it matters, because his lack of due process and then the administration ignoring court orders, this is all part of a bigger issue where if they do it here, what stops them from doing it over there? You know what I mean? And so apparently this, I just saw it. I didn't get a chance to read it, but a conservative judge wrote in the Fourth Circuit, wrote a scathing opinion about the Garcia case in favor of Garcia. Like this was something that everyone was like, this guy knew this was going to be like a career defining opinion. I would like to read it, but it's out there now. But these judges, they get it. And they're not just, these aren't some like, granola eating liberal judges. These are conservative judges that are constitutional originalists. And they're looking at this going,
which
this is
half the Supreme Court, claims to be.
Yes,
when it's convenient for them or when it's not.
Right. Right. That's right. And that's also why it makes it, this whole thing, like I said, with El Salvador and the homegrown thing and we got to build more. And they were all like laughing about it. That's all because it's going to enrich Eric Prince and his goon squad over there, his jackbooted thugs that he uses as a private contractor. He's already all up in it down there, all up in it. That's very scary shit. This is not okay. Okay. And so hopefully Congress will continue to make a stink about this and scream from the rooftops about it and demand accountability. And the American people need to, because this is not okay. None of it is okay. And they're coming for us next, which leads me to what Harvard has done. Speaking of standing up, I am very proud of my affiliation with Harvard and my students who've gone there and what I've been able to accomplish as a fellow there. And I'm so thankful that Harvard has decided to tell the Trump administration to fuck off, that they are not going to cave into the pressure, because Donald Trump, again, is trying to squash free speech and education and what private institutions are doing because too many liberals come from Harvard. I'm sorry. That's not your call to make in a free society. Who gives a shit?
Also, is it? Because I know plenty of like Republican senators and members of Congress who've all gone to Harvard. So I don't really even understand what that means. I mean, yeah, we know that, but
right, we know this, but they're using it, the elite organizations, the elite institutions, because they say they've gone too woke and they're too DEI and all this. No, they're just mad that more than rich white men get to go to Harvard now. And so, and, you know, they don't like it. And because some, you know, pro-Palestinian protesters decided to do an encampment stupid thing on Harvard's campus, which we didn't agree with their position, but it's their right to do it. They have the freedom to do it in this country. Yeah. Like, sorry, if you don't like the Constitution, well, then go somewhere else.
Yep.
Okay. Well, then they're in the wrong country then, people.
Exactly. And so the Trump administration threatened to take away federal grants, like $2 billion or something worth of like federal grants for Harvard, and also take away their tax exempt status,
which they can't just do willy-nilly.
Right. And this article we're showing here from the Bulwark it makes a very, very good point. Harvard is fighting back. So can we.
Yes.
So it says on Friday, the Trump administration moved to cut off federal funding for the programs at Harvard University. On Monday, Harvard fought back, rejecting the administration's demands to intrude on unprecedented ways in the operations of the university and going to court to stop the administration's efforts. Then on Tuesday, Donald Trump suggested perhaps Harvard should lose its tax-exempt status and be taxed as a political entity if it keeps pushing political ideology and terrorist, again, here's the overuse of the word terrorist, which they're going to continue to do, inspired supporting sickness. Then on Wednesday, CNN reported that the Internal Revenue Service is making plans to rescind Harvard's tax-exempt status per Trump's instruction. Also on Wednesday, the Department of Homeland Security sent Harvard a letter threatening to block foreign students who might wish to attend Harvard from obtaining student visas unless Harvard submits information on all of its international students' disciplinary records and possible participation in political protests.
This is insane.
Step foot on American soil, it doesn't matter if you are a citizen or not. Our laws and our rights, our Constitution applies to everyone. So it says the Trump administration's attack against Harvard continues and intensifies. Let's see, of course, this is not the end or even the beginning of the end. The Trump administration's attack on the private sector, the civil society, blah, 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 blah.
I think here's the kicker. It says if you're going to respect the rule of law, the apparatus of the federal government cannot and should not be used as a partisan tool to bludgeon your enemies. That's the bottom line. And Harvard is standing strong. And thankfully, they're in a position because they have like a $50 billion endowment.
Yeah.
So
they have a shit ton of money.
Yes. And
they're like, come for me. I dare you.
Right. Exactly. And they also have access to lots of money because there's lots of billionaires who went there that are happy to give their money to make sure Harvard remains. It's the oldest university in the country. And they, I get the Harvard like alerts and like the Crimson stuff. And the president was like, of Harvard said, listen, we've gotten more donations. It's increased our donations to Harvard since all this shit went down. Right. And I'm glad to see that. I would hope that, you know, the $2 billion that they're taking is coming from medical research. Harvard is more than just like the snooty institution they think all the rich kids go to.
Jared Kushner's dad giving money to put his name on buildings so his kid can
so that his kid get in because he couldn't get in otherwise.
Right.
But Harvard actually has really opened itself up. They recently announced they were going to make it free to students that whose household income is under $200,000. They've done amazing programs to get kids in from minority communities and things like that. Like Harvard has done a lot of really good things. And they do a lot of good things in the medical research community. That area of Cambridge and Boston has some of the best medical care and institutions and research in the world because of all of what they do there between MIT, I think, is telling Trump to go fuck off too.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, thank God. And so this has implications that far outreach their little temper tantrums because they're jealous that their kids couldn't get in or because, you know, there's some...
or Elise Stefanik being angry that she got kicked off of that democracy thing or whatever.
Well, no, the Institute of Politics is what I'm part of.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Yes, it's the Kennedy Schools. The Kennedy Schools Institute of Politics threw Elise Stefanik off the senior advisor board after she supported Trump after January 6th. They said, I'm sorry, this is incongruent with our values here.
Well,
you're out of here. I know. Well, now she's thinking about running for governor, I hear,
Oh,
of New
please.
York.
You know what? Listen. Okay. She should be taken seriously. I mean, that is no one, we shouldn't totally laugh at
Discount
her.
it. Yeah. She's probably going to do it.
She will do it. And I mean, I don't know that she'll win the primary, but she'll do it.
I'll be clear. I want to see the fight between her and Mike Lawler.
Oh,
if they're
me
gonna,
too,
let them fight. Let them fight.
And here's the thing too, because I've already been reading this in the comment section. People from the North Country being like, "Are you serious?" Because they are hurting.
Yeah,
they are hurting. Tourism, farming, military. I mean, like again, we've talked about this on the show and our other show, that the North Country is a microcosm of all of the terrible policies that Donald Trump is imposing on this country are happening to this little part of the country in northern New York. And it happens to be the place that she wants nothing to do with having to represent anymore, because she was going to be the ambassador to the United Nations. And they saw that there was an opportunity there that she made, like the special election would have been lost and they would have lost a seat in the House. And so they sent her packing with
a walk of shame. Resign? Does she have to resign her seat to run? Because I think that matters. Because in some states you can't run, you can't hold office and run for one at the same time. So I'll be curious to see what that's about, because I think that would be the only thing that she may get talked out of, is because basically. But if I'm her, you do what you do, because clearly Trump and the party don't care about you.
That's right. I'm reading here. Georgia says Elisa's entire northern border of her district is the St. Lawrence River. Correct.
Right.
And the farmers are not happy.
Nor should they be.
I mean, for different reasons. Some of it's immigration. Some of it's just,
tariffs,
agriculture, tariffs. I mean, there's so many different reasons why. I mean, it's just
that's bonkers. Right. People are like, why is Donald Trump trying to destroy America and like that and tank the economy? Well,
and she has sold her soul for no reason.
We already know this.
Right. Well, the Harvard thing, especially. Did you see Steve Kerr, the coach of the Golden State Warriors? Did you see that? I'm going to play this clip really quick.
Tommy Amaker is a friend of mine. Harvard coach, and he sent me the shirt. Actually, we practiced there in Boston in November, and he gave me the shirt, and felt like a great day to wear it. I believe in academic freedom. I think it's crucial for all of our institutions to be able to handle their own business the way they want to, and they should not be shaken down and told what to teach, what to say by our government. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, but it's kind of par for the course right now. So yes, this is me supporting Harvard. Way to go, way to stand up to the bully.
So Steve Kerr is amazing. I've had the opportunity to interview him. And also when my first week at Harvard in 2020, he came to speak at the Institute of Politics. He is an incredible guy and really thoughtful and has an amazing life story. Yes. And I suggest for people to read about him. I'm not going to get into all that now because we're running up on time. But Steve Kerr is a great guy, and I'm glad to see that he spoke out. And that leads me also to, as we were saying about what's happening, that Donald Trump and MAGA, they don't care, just like Elise doesn't care about what's happening to the people in her district. Well, we made an ad about it.
Oh yeah, we did.
We do what we do here at Seneca Project. And once again, we partnered with Hold the Line and Marcus Flowers. And we made an ad about it. We've been talking about this, making an economics ad. And I had the idea of turning the idea of they, them on its head, because unfortunately, there was a very successful, stupid freaking ad during the campaign that the Harris campaign and the Democrats did not counter. And to their, much to their own.
It was an evil ad, but it was a smart one.
It was a terrible ad, but it was a very effective one, unfortunately. It was probably the ad of the entire election.
Absolutely.
And I don't know who came up with the, Kamala Harris is for they, them. Donald Trump is for you.
Sure. I'm sure they're winning a poly.
Yeah, I know, right?
Which I'm not participating in this year.
Well, that's fine.
Because I'm like, I can't anymore.
We're not. That's a whole nother subset of consultant type of things. But we are up for a Webby, which you're going to talk about in a minute. But we're going to show you this ad because I said we need to turn this around. Because guess who's actually not for you? Donald Trump. He's not for you. He's for them. And the them are the billionaires and his cronies. So here's our new ad. Donald Trump is for them.
Did you ever think when you voted for President Trump that things were going to cost you more?
I never thought I was going to lose this much money, this fast.
The president says he doesn't care.
Couldn't care less if they raise prices.
The Trump cabinet has more billionaires than any in history.
People are being laid off.
Double the number of job losses.
It's very hard to find a job right now.
Largest one-day gain in the history of the Bloomberg Billionaires Index.
I find that I do better in bad markets.
The stock soars 21%.
A small business like mine will be out of business before the end of the year.
VA cuts already taking a toll on veterans' health care. Social Security offices are being closed.
It's scary.
If you are big tech CEOs who gave big, you are glad you did that.
Largest tax cuts,
which go to the wealthiest 0.1%.
Everyone's lost how much money in their 401k and he's golfing?
Destroying people's lives for no reason.
He made $2.5 billion today and he made $900 million.
And I don't know what happened to Michelle.
There
she
I am.
is.
Sorry,
Where'd you go?
I refreshed my screen. Sorry.
Oh, okay, no worries. Yeah, pretty much. Now, I don't know why more groups and why the Democrats, like the DNC and those people that have millions of dollars, have not made ads like this and are not running them everywhere in these districts that are gettable to turn the House back to Democratic control in 2026. They should be running ads like this everywhere, because even since we dropped that ad yesterday, there are stories by the dozens coming out of Trump supporters who are business owners who are like, oh my God, this is destroying us. We have to lay people up. These tariffs are going to destroy us. We didn't like that farmer that was like, well, I voted for Trump, but I didn't expect to pay money like this. And no, well, I guess you weren't listening.
Yeah, where have you been? Where have you been?
It impacts them. So,
well, right, and these people don't think that they're the them. Do you know what I mean? The other thing, even the 100 millionaires, they think that somehow this isn't going to apply to them. No, babe, it's only like the billionaire types that are like in his circle. If you're 100 millionaire, you're a half a billionaire, they don't care. You're still poor to them.
Yeah, it's the tech oligarchy guys that are benefiting. Right. It's the Elon Musks and the David Sacks and the Peter Thiels of the world. Right. You know, these guys. And Donald Trump's cabinet is filled with 13 billionaires.
That's
plus
right.
Elon. So people forget this. These are not people that are like men of the people. They don't.
No, they're weird. And also, they're weird.
Yes.
They're totally weird people who are angry that they can't get laid. Actually, you know what? Can I just show this again? Because it's just so funny to me. If you know So True podcast, like, oh my God, this makes me laugh so hard.
He's going to burn America to the ground because nobody thought he was funny.
Yeah.
Because nobody laughed.
And because he needed surgeries to look handsome adjacent if you're not wearing your glasses and it's foggy. You know how many surgeries he's had to look like a 5? This guy, he's going to ruin democracy because he was born a 3, and then he put millions of dollars into becoming a 5.
3.
He's a born 3. With dreams and delusions of being an 8. He knows deep down he's not getting to 10. So we've got a born 3 dreaming of 8, landing at 5. And he's got an army of 2s that we're calling Doge. And now we don't get to have democracy anymore because the right girls didn't want to sleep with him.
Right.
This is fucking insane.
Yeah.
And yet, I persist.
I mean, what a perfect description of Elon Musk.
It's so good. Well, and you know, like I understand we're running out of time a little bit here, but I just want to say, so I was going to play it, but we're not. Go and watch this video about billionaires. It's like a music video that Stephen Colbert did about billionaires. It is hilarious.
It's very funny.
Which leads me to something that I really, really want to make fun of. And this is actually I think it will spark joy. And maybe it's a little mean, but I actually don't think that it is.
Please yes. Okay.
I want to make fun of this in ways that I cannot describe.
Did you pull the clip of Bezos busting his ass, like fully?
Oh, I didn't.
Planting? Oh my God. He completely. Did you see it? He took a complete.
I did. Yeah, just like face first. So first, like I was gonna play again. There's this other clip of Olivia Munn. She was on Jenna Bush's or whatever her show in the morning, and Jenna Bush obviously is friends with Gayle King, and she's trying to be supportive. And she's like, "Do you know about this?" And Olivia Munn's like, "Yeah, but like, why are we doing that?" And they're like, "Oh, but they're gonna go up and they're gonna be glam about it." And Olivia Munn goes, "They said that out loud." And she's like, "There's so much going on in the world. I don't understand. It's so expensive to go to space, and like they're not even astronauts, and they're just going up for like 11 minutes and coming back. Like I don't understand."
Right.
So
like,
Gayle,
it's cool, but like it wasn't.
Is
it? Felt
it?
very
I don't.
Tone deaf. It felt
Well,
very tone deaf.
Well, they're trying to girl boss it, and I have all the reasons why I think that's
Yeah.
stupid. So here's Gayle King. She's just defending the expensive thing. Listen, Gayle King, I have no issue with her otherwise. I just don't understand why she did this.
I don't either.
One giant stunt for womankind, because here's the thing. It's so extravagant. It was paid for by a man, a billionaire man.
The boyfriend of
Mackenzie, not Mackenzie, sorry. That's
Lauren Sanchez.
Yeah, her. And so they put this thing, there they are in their glam coming after the thing.
I don't know. It just feels very self-indulgent.
Look at it.
I know. And the penis rocket. It's so
looks
phallic.
like a penis.
It's ridiculous. It's just so obvious what's happening here.
I read online. They're like, no, there's physics reasons why it has to look like the penis. And I was like, is it? I'm not buying it. I'm really just not.
None of the other ones look like that.
Well, no. And I just want people to know. And the reason that this actually like pisses me off is that there are female astronauts who are absolutely kicking ass, taking names, educating people, and serving as role models for millions of little girls in this country. One of them is Kelly Girardi. I put these up here because I hope that if you're watching, you can pause, follow these women. The Space Gal, Emily Calandrelli. Let's see, Haley, I don't know how to ever say it. Arsenault. Let's see, Jessica Meir, Kayla Barron. That's who we have here. These are incredible women who went to school and are scientists and are doing amazing. Because here's the thing about space exploration: it's not just about going. It's not like we're driving to California. It's exploration.
How your hair extensions and eyelashes are going to
that kind of
in
shit
the anti-gravity. Like, get the fuck out of here.
First of all, it doesn't help us as human beings. It doesn't help humankind, but it's not helping women. I'll tell you that right now, because what it makes us look like is stupid. It makes people don't take us seriously when we do shit like this. And okay, so there's this video of them landing. Have you seen this? About my husband and I have watched this like 10 times, and we laugh so hard every single time.
I mean, if it's funny,
a puff of smoke when it touches down, a puff of dust. That's normal.
A puff of dust, last milliseconds, air cushion that will kick up the dust. It's a very soft landing despite the sporty perception. There it is.
Sorry. It's just like they keep saying it's a puff of dust. It's a very soft landing, and then it's like
confused.
But then
I was like, that doesn't even sound real. It's what it sounds like. It sounds like the ridiculous commentators in Pitch Perfect, where they say stupid shit through the whole thing.
It's like a Christopher Guest movie or something. And Katy Perry gets off the thing and says this, which again is just, I can't.
Katie!
Woo! I feel super connected to love. So connected to love. I think this experience has shown me you never know how much love is inside of you, like how much love you have to give, and how loved you are until the day you launch.
What? Shut up. Shut up. It was 11 minutes. I mean, it's very cool. I would do it if I had the chance. But let's not turn this into some esoteric, some spiritual experience. It's not.
It ain't that deep. And they barely went to space. Okay?
I know.
And again, I just want to reiterate, the extravagance of this in a time when Americans are suffering, and we have a billionaire in the office with his billionaire cabinet who is tanking the economy after we had the economy that was the envy of the world. People are suffering. They're going to have their Medicaid, Medicare taken away, their Social Security. People can't can't make ends meet right now, and we have this happening. And it's
and
just
then trying to be under the guise of like some kind of, like you said, girl boss feminism like thing.
Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, they all have the kind of wealth that they could end world hunger.
Yes.
They could use their wealth and power to make sure that people in the United States are insured, or that mothers could get maternity leave, paid maternity leave. They don't do any of these things. Everything that they do is completely self-serving.
Yes.
And the fact
because all to extend their very short penises. So that's what they do. It's not an accident that this is the business.
And they're like, and they're like, oh, and I'm going to do this thing. We're going to put a bunch of women up in space. Horseshit again. Again, it's performative bullshit. It doesn't mean anything, and all it does is it sets us back. It sets women back, and because it's not real, and it's for show, and it's extravagance. It's like his $100 million wedding that he's planning right now. It's again like when there's an article that was written in 2012 and a corresponding TED Talk, and one of these days I will show a clip from it on this show. His name is Nick Hanauer, and he's a plutocrat, and he's a rich guy, and he was talking to his fellow rich people, and he said, this was over 10 years ago he did this. He said, to my fellow plutocrats, let me tell you right now, the people are coming with their pitchforks. They're coming with their pitchforks, and my God, we're getting there.
Yeah,
the American people are coming with their pitchforks.
Yes, because in 6 months from now, if Donald Trump keeps this bullshit up, this tariff tantrum nonsense, playing chicken with China, God knows where we're going to be. And regular, average, everyday working Americans are not going to be happy, and that includes the MAGA folks.
Yes.
So and let's not forget that Jeff Bezos also ruined the Washington Post because he obeyed in advance and has turned the Washington Post into a skeleton of what it used to be to try to placate Trump because he wants federal contracts.
Right. And he's another one who spent millions of dollars as a 2 to end up as a 5. So
yes, that is
because all these guys don't look like how they look. And even now I'm just like,
I don't know what what Mark Zuckerberg has done, because now all he looks like is like, I don't know, somebody's like Justin Timberlake in drag. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with him. So on that note, I mean, I'm just saying.
No, it's
bye.
True.
That's all I keep thinking about. It's like he looks like a middle-aged, right?
He looks like a middle-aged, I don't know, like
Justin Timberlake.
It's just
in drag.
In
actually, I'm not actually gonna insult drag queens because
they're way more beautiful and put together. Yes.
Oh my gosh. Well, on that note, speaking of beautiful women and having it together, we are in the final hours of the Webby Awards voting. I know people are probably like, oh my God, that's all they've been talking about for 2 weeks. But yes, because it's a big freaking deal for us. It's a BFD. And it's the Oscar of the Webbies, and we are nominated, and we were in first place last week after lots of folks went and voted. And then the big juggernauts that we're up against, like Disney and the WNBA, started pushing their folks. So then we dropped down into second place, but not by much. And so we could do this. We have a couple hours. There's 3 hours left to vote.
Yep.
So hopefully everyone who's watching, if you have not voted yet, please vote for us.
Yes.
We really have a competitive shot at winning the People's Choice Award for American Girl, which would be amazing.
It would be amazing for our little engine that could. And because again, like there's 4 of us at the Seneca Project. We started just in June with a hope and a dream and a couple bucks of our own money that we invested in this. And we have Tara and I mean, this isn't, don't feel sorry for us by any means, but I'm saying it's like this, we have done this at great personal cost to ourselves.
Literally and figuratively.
Literally and figuratively, because we knew that this was the right thing to do.
That's right.
We knew that we needed to not do what we were doing, and we needed to do this instead. And so American Girl really is the culmination of all of that hard work and the sacrifices that we have made, that our families have made, quite frankly, to support us in this endeavor. And, we're so proud, and it's really validating in a lot of ways too, that we were able to be recognized for this hard work. And with a song that was written and performed by Laura Bell Bundy, who is a Tony nominated actress and singer. And as well as New York Betty, it was our friends Anna and Aiden. Anna's been on our show, that helped to produce this. We couldn't have done it without them. And we're just really, really proud. We're really thrilled. And this would just be such a huge win for us. Obviously, it's an honor just to be nominated, but we'd love to win too. That would be
We'd
great.
like to win. Yes, yes, that would be great.
So you can go to our website directly, www.senecaproject.us, and there's at the banner at the top, you can click on that. It'll bring you right there. Or I think Mallory has dropped it in the chat. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, the direct link should be there as well.
Take you right there. It takes like 30 seconds to vote. And, when we saw who we were up against, we were like, oh my God. But you know what? To see that we were actually in first place for like 5 days.
Yeah, for a few days.
Up until yesterday morning, actually. And then we were tied for first. And then we saw the WNBA Caitlin Clark thing start to gain a little bit, a couple percentage points. And then we were tied for second with Disney. I mean, again, we're in the same category here, in the competitive against Disney and a WNBA star, which is just really humbling for us. And this honor is just as much about you guys as it is for us. Like, we made American Girl for all of you. And so it would just mean the world if we could pull it out. So if you haven't voted, please vote. You can only vote once from one email, but send it to all your friends, and we'll see what happens. We find out on April 22nd.
Yes. And I just want to also take a second to thank our friends who have been so generous with their platforms in promoting American Girl, having us on their shows. Tara's more than me. She's a busy lady. But Mary Trump, Jim Acosta, Harry Dunn, Don Lemon, our friend JoJo from Jurors, Julie Roginski, and many more. So we just want to thank everyone for your support and your love and your belief in what we're doing.
Yes. And all of you who have supported us, both from the very beginning when we started Seneca last year, all the way through, and who are still with us. We are just so thrilled. And
we see you, by the way. We see you in our comments every single week. We see you on YouTube. We see you on Twitter. We see you everywhere. There's names that I recognize over and over and over again. And I just want you to know that we see you, and we appreciate you, and we send you all the love and
it's our little Seneca Project community, and we love it. That's why we do this. That is why we keep doing this. So we can our own little warrior women and merry band of resistors. That's us, and we are the American women that are going to help save this democracy.
Amen, sister.
Thank you guys, and we will see you on Saturday for Coffee and Conversation. Our Overt show with the ladies on Saturday at 10. And by the show next week, we should know whether we won or not. We'll know. Yep. All right. Thank you, guys.
I'll play us out with American Girl one last time.
Play us out, Michelle.
Will do. Thanks, everybody. See you next week.
Women's suffrage is a long story of hard work and heartache crowned by victory.
Was it so hard being an American girl?
Women throughout the country are committed to winning these rights for themselves.
Was it so hard living in a first problem world?
I'm Connie Chung, CBS News, New York.
When the American promise is the land of the free, but I'm waiting for the bill for the air that I breathe. Was it so hard being an American?
I do.
I pray that we all remember our children are watching.
Every heart beats true for the red, white, and blue. Tell me, girls, what are we gonna do? Every heart beats true for the red, white, and blue. Tell me, girls, what are we gonna do? Every heart lost to all the free American girl. What are we gonna do? Every heart.
While I may be
me the first woman in this office, I will not be the last.
Every heart beats true for the red, white, and blue. Tell me, girls, what are we gonna do?